Hello, and welcome to everyone joining us today. I'm Alina, Secretary for the NANMMA Youth Council, and I'll be your host for tonight. Thank you for being a part of this amazing program organized by the Youth Council. We've got an exciting lineup ahead with esteemed guests, knowledgeable speakers, and insightful discussions. Now, one of our beloved chief guests, Dr. Patur Rahman, has been hospitalized and he won't be able to join our program today. We ask that everyone keep him in your prayers and du'as. May Allah grant him shifa and a speedy recovery. Ameen. We'd like to thank our former NANMMA president, Mr. U.A. Nasir, for helping us get connected with Dr. Rahman. But we still have plenty planned for today, so whether you're a student, parent, or just a curious listener, we hope you're able to learn something about studying abroad and what it's like to come to college or university in the US. If you have any questions you'd like to ask our speakers, please feel free to put it in the YouTube chat throughout the program, and we'll do our best to get to it during our Q&A section. So without further ado, let's get started. To kick things off, I want to introduce Masood Al-Ansar. Masood is an inspiring and dedicated individual who's made a significant impact as the youth director of the North American Network for Malayali Muslims. With a passion for empowering and uniting Malayali Muslim youth, he's worked hard to put together the Youth Council. Welcome, Masood.
Thank you, Alina. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone from all around the world. It is with great pleasure that I stand before you today as the NANMMA Youth Director to welcome you all to this wonderful event. I'm thrilled to announce that we have received an overwhelming response with over 700 registrations for this event. I know it's big, but on behalf of our entire team, I extend a warm and heartfelt welcome to each and every one of you. Now, we have gathered here today to celebrate knowledge. Our aim today is to take you through a journey to help you get an understanding of the higher education in the United States. Well, as you all know, the United States has long been recognized as a hub of innovation, research, and academic excellence. And we are privileged to have some distinguished personalities with us tonight who have excelled in their respective fields. I start by expressing our deepest gratitude to the esteemed Member of Parliament and our former Kerala State Minister of Education, E.T. Muhammad Bashir, for gracing this occasion with his presence. Your support and encouragement have been invaluable to us, and we are honored to have you today. I'm also humbled to welcome our esteemed chief guest for the evening, Dr. Muhammad Munir, who is a prominent scientist and associate professor from the JFK University Medical Center in the USA. Your remarkable contributions to the field of neuroscience have been a source of inspiration to many, and we are thrilled to have you here to share your valuable insights. And to make everything infinitely better, our lineup of speakers is equally exceptional. First, we welcome Ihsan Ul-Ihtisam, a remarkable research scholar from the University of Chicago, specializing in South Asian language and civilization. Your research is a testament to the richness and diversity of our heritage, and we are eager to hear your thoughts. We're also delighted to have Aisha Nacholi, an outstanding undergraduate student from the University of South Florida. Your pursuit of knowledge and academic excellence serves as an inspiration to all the young minds present here tonight. Well, this event would not have been possible without the dedication and support of our NANMMA youth. And as their director, I'm truly honored to lead such a passionate and vibrant team. Your commitment to empowering the youth and fostering a culture of learning is commendable. Lastly, I extend my gratitude to all the participants and attendees who have joined us from different corners of the world. Your presence here is a testament to your thirst for knowledge and personal growth. So let us come together, learn, share, and celebrate the spirit of education and exploration here today. May this event inspire each and every one of us to strive for excellence and make a positive impact in our communities and the world at large. So sit back and enjoy and learn from this event. Thank you so much. Back to you, Alina.
Thank you, Masood. I'm definitely looking forward to hearing from all of those speakers. I'd now like to introduce the president of NANMMA, Brother Muhammad Shafi. Under his guidance, NANMMA has flourished and become a beacon of unity and progress for the Malayali Muslim community in North America. Let's give a warm virtual welcome to Brother Shafi.
Thank you, Alina. Our esteemed guests, E.T. Muhammad Bashir, MP, and Dr. Muhammad Munir. Our speakers, Aisha and Ihsan, members of NANMMA Youth Council, NANMMA delegates, and participants who have joined us for this special event from Kerala and North America. First and foremost, I want to express my sincere gratitude to each and every one of you for being part of today's gathering. I extend a special word of appreciation to the NANMMA Youth Council for organizing this event. For those who are not familiar with NANMMA, let me introduce NANMMA to you. NANMMA stands for North American Network of Malayali Muslim Association. We unite Malayali Muslims across North America on a common platform. Founded in 2015, NANMMA has diligently offered social, educational, cultural, religious, and charitable service to our community in America and in Kerala. NANMMA demonstrated a proactive nature by providing charitable aid during the Kerala floods and COVID-19 pandemic. We remain committed to offering essential support for education, shelter, healthcare, and other necessities in Kerala. NANMMA maintains a presence in nearly every major city in US and Canada, ensuring a smooth transition for those who are coming to US for study or work. As many of you are aware, a significant number of students from Kerala are embarking on journeys to foreign countries for higher education. These decisions carry considerable financial and life-changing implications. They require proper mentorship and guidance to make informed decisions. The NANMMA Youth Council, led by our next generation, those who were born and brought up here, has assumed a serious responsibility of giving back to their peers in Kerala. Programs like this offer guidance to those aspiring to pursue higher studies here in US. We are optimistic that these sessions will be highly beneficial to you. I commend our NANMMA Youth Council once again for championing this initiative. And thank you once more for joining us today. Enjoy the remainder of the program. Back to you, Alina.
Thank you, Brother Shafi, for sharing NANMMA's vision and for helping us emphasize the importance of empowering the youth. Now it's my distinct honor to introduce our next guest for today's event, Dr. Mohammed Munir. He's an outstanding individual who's made groundbreaking contributions in the field of medical research and neuroscience. Dr. Munir is an associate professor and a senior scientist at the Hackensack Meridian Health JFK University Medical Center in New Jersey. His expertise has been pivotal in advancing the understanding of various critical areas, including peptide and gene therapeutic strategies for central nervous system injuries, alcohol-induced brain damage, sensory motor deficits, and psychological stress and brain injury. Dr. Munir's accomplishments also extend to the cutting-edge CRISPR-Cas9 gene deletion technology for brain and spinal cord injuries. His work in this field has opened up new possibilities for potential treatments and interventions. Today, we have the privilege of hearing from a true visionary whose dedication to the advancement of medical science has left a mark on the academic and research communities. So welcome, Dr. Mohammed Munir.
Thank you, Alina. Thank you, Alina, for introducing me. So, dear, E.T. Mohammed Bashir, Shafi, President, NANMMA President, Masood, and our speakers, dear students, and all other attendees. First of all, my sincere thanks to Adil Shah, the coordinator of this program, and NANMMA Youth Wing for inviting me to this program. NANMMA Youth Wing, under the leadership of Masood, has been conducting several programs which are very beneficial to our growing students. When I was in charge of NANMMA education, we were conducting several programs for our students in USA during the pandemic time. This program is something different and focusing abroad students, especially our Malayali students. I came this country for postdoctoral research program in biomedical field after my PhD. Later, I realized that I could have come a little early here for PhD or master's program. Lack of proper information or lack of confidence, it make a delay to come to this country. So our speakers will share the procedure and their experience for coming this country and studying in this country. Here I am giving some information for utilizing opportunities in biomedical research in different universities in this country. So biomedical research, there are 3 phases of biomedical research. Basic research, preclinical, and clinical research. Basic research examples mainly the basic medical researches include cellular and molecular biology, medical genetics, immunology, neuroscience, and psychology. Research mainly in universities or government-funded research institutes aim to establish an understanding of the cellular, molecular, and physiological mechanisms of human health and disease. Whereas preclinical research covers understanding the mechanism that may lead to clinical research. Typically, the work requires no ethical approval for this preclinical research and supervised by scientists rather than physicians. And it is carried out in a university, not in a hospital. Whereas clinical research, which is carried out with people as the experimental subjects, it is generally supervised by physicians and conducted by nurses in a hospital. And this type of research, clinical research, requires ethical approval. So there are different fields of biomedical research. Cancer is one of the top leading research field. Next again, neuroscience, cardiovascular, pharmacology, ophthalmology. There are several biomedical research field. And subject-wise, so biochemistry, molecular biology, cell biology, genetics, pharmacology, epigenetics, genomics. So there are lots of subjects. So and next, I can give some information about funding, but this funding are not, you don't have to worry about funding at this stage. So you don't have to bother about funding. But still, NIH, National Institute of Health, is the leading funding agent. It's a federal government funding agent in US. Every year, $30 billion they fund for the biomedical research. The second one is NSF, is a National Science Foundation. They fund around $7 billion. And then there are Department of Veteran Affairs, Department of Defense, Department of Education, NASA, Department of Agriculture. There are several funding agencies in this country. And also, there are different private fundings. For undergraduate and masters, undergraduates, masters, and PhD program, usually all universities of this country has their own funds. So what you have to do actually to come this country and study in this country. So as Dr. Kalam said, there are 3 steps, determination, hardworking, and perseverance. So determination is this is the act of deciding definitely and firmly. So you should extremely motivated and focused on what you want to achieve. So your decision should be very solid, very strong, and it should be very focused. The next step is actually hardworking. So start searching and preparing application for suitable position to this country. Actually, spend more time in internet for application purpose. So you have to spend more time on internet for application purpose, and don't misuse internet in this stage actually, especially in this age, between 15 and 25. So misuse means like there are different social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, Reels, Shorts. More better than me, I think. So it is very challenging to control all this. So in this stage, you should control this social media and focus more on internet for applying the positions to this country. Courses, different courses, undergrad, even masters, undergraduates, PhD, whatever it is. So third step is actually is perseverance. Perseverance means don't give up if you are not successful. Don't be frustrated. Keep on trying. You have to keep on try, like one by one. Like one day you will get a positive response, definitely. So if you do all these steps in a proper way, you will be here in this country within few months. So this is all I want to give you. So here I am concluding. Best wishes to all students. Thank you all.
Thank you, Dr. Munir. Biomedical research is an incredible field doing impressive work to help improve healthcare. And I'm certain that your encouragement and advice about getting involved with research is invaluable to those looking to enter the field. Thank you again for being a part of our program and spending time with us today. Now, allow me to introduce a remarkable individual whose contributions to politics and social welfare have left a positive mark on Indian society. He's recently built a CH Center in Trivandrum, Mr. E.T. Mohammed Bashir. He's a prominent Indian politician and social worker currently serving as a member of parliament. His political journey began in 1985 when he was first elected to the Kerala Legislative Assembly. He later held the position of Kerala State Education Minister on 2 separate occasions. His tenure as Minister for Education was marked by transformative reforms, including the introduction of self-financing colleges, the grading system at the secondary and higher secondary levels, and the establishment of various universities like Kannur University, Sanskrit University in Kaladi, and the National University of Advanced Legal Studies in Kochi. His impactful contributions to education and social welfare have undoubtedly made a positive difference in the lives of many. Please join me in welcoming the distinguished E.T. Mohammed Bashir. Hello, Mr. E.T. Mohammed Bashir. Are you able to turn on your camera? We might be having some technical difficulties, but we're going to be working on them. So please stay with us for just a moment. All right, we will come right back to that. For now, we're going to move into the next section of our event, where we're going to be learning from the experiences of international students and talking about what it's like to study abroad. So to help host this part of the event, I'd like to welcome someone who's put in a lot of work to bring this event to life, Adil Shah. He's a treasurer of the NANMMA Youth Council and a research scholar at the University of California. Welcome, Adil.
Hey, Helena, thank you so much for a warm welcome. It's my pleasure. Myself, I'm Adil Shah, research scholar in the University of California. ആദ്യമായിട്ട് നമ്മൾ ഇവിടെ സ്പീക്ക് ചെയ്യാൻ പോകുന്ന ഈസാനാണ്. ഈസാൻ ഡൂയിങ് ഹിസ് PhD ഓൺ സൗത്ത് ഏഷ്യൻ സ്റ്റഡീസിലാണ്. അപ്പോൾ ആർട്സിൽ എങ്ങനെ US വന്ന് പഠിക്കാം, അതിനെക്കുറിച്ച് ഗുണങ്ങൾ എന്തൊക്കെയാണ്, കൂടുതലായിട്ട് എല്ലാവരും ചോദിക്കുന്ന കാര്യങ്ങളാണ്. സോ ഈസാൻ വിൽ ബി ഗോയിങ് ടു ഇൻട്രൊഡ്യൂസ് ദാറ്റ്. സോ Isan, the platform is yours. Isan? I think we have. Okay, so our chief guest ET is back here. So we'll hand over to E.T. Muhammad for the inauguration section. So to E.T.
Hey, I think we're having a couple technical difficulties with getting our chief guest on here. We can move on to one of our speakers, Aisha. Adil, if you want to go ahead and introduce her, it's all yours.
Okay, yeah. So sorry for that. We'll be going to next to Aisha. Aisha is an undergraduate student from University of South Florida. So Aisha മിഡിൽ ഈസ്റ്റ് നിന്നാണ്. അപ്പം മിഡിൽ ഈസ്റ്റിൽ നിന്ന് എങ്ങനെ നമുക്ക് ഇവിടെ വന്ന് പഠിക്കാം, എങ്ങനെ ഇവിടെ അണ്ടർഗ്രാജുവേറ്റ് ചെയ്യുന്നതിൽ ഗുണങ്ങളും കാര്യങ്ങളും എന്തൊക്കെയാണെന്ന് ആയിഷ പറയും. സോ എന്ത് ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻസ് ഉണ്ടെങ്കിലും നിങ്ങൾ നിങ്ങളുടെ യൂട്യൂബ് ചാറ്റിൽ കമന്റ് ചെയ്യുക. ആയിഷ നിങ്ങൾക്ക് കൂടുതൽ കാര്യങ്ങൾ ഡിസ്ക്രൈബ് ചെയ്യുന്നതായിരിക്കും. സോ ഇറ്റ്സ് പ്ലാറ്റ്ഫോം ടു യു ആയിഷ. താങ്ക് യു.
Thank you so much for introducing me, Adilsha. It's a great pleasure to be here. Thank you everyone for joining. So again, as you all know, my name is Aisha Nacholi. Currently, I'm pursuing undergrad from University of South Florida, majoring in electrical engineering. So I'm here to help you all learn the prospects of studying here in the US for a bachelor's degree. So I'll be presenting my screen right now. And yeah, I have a presentation for you all, so just bear with me for a minute. Okay. So hope it's visible. So let's together explore the opportunities to study bachelor's in the US. Let's move on. Okay, so here I'm going to give a step-by-step guidance on the application process and other prospects for studying undergrad here in the US. I will be starting with my personal journey, introduction to study in USA, like the opportunities US offer, and write research. So I'll start with my personal journey. So I actually started looking into like study abroad opportunities in the US back in 2019. It was in my 11th grade, so I heard about it from a friend of mine. Her elder brother was studying at USF. So shout out to my friend Ronita. She was the one who inspired me to start my studies here in the US. So I heard about the opportunities from her, and then I thought, let me just look into it and let me just do a little bit research about it. So I started researching about the application process and everything towards the end of my 11th grade. And as you all know, in 2020, there was the pandemic, and that's when my 12th grade started. So my whole 12th grade was like during the COVID pandemic time. So then again, I kept on looking more into it. Again, the application process, the universities, what all are required for the application. And again, the next thing, my extracurriculars. So I was part of a lot of, like, before pandemic, definitely there were offline activities that I was a part of. I used to do community service for young community agents of Indian schools in Oman. As Adarsh told, I was actually in Middle East, in Oman. So I did my high school in Indian school in Oman. So I was part of community service for one of the organizations, and I was also part of like school competitions, inter-school competitions. And yeah, I tried to get myself involved in those offline activities. And when it was like COVID pandemic, I tried to explore the online opportunities. I got to be part of 3G IRPS entrepreneurship event, which was definitely a turning point because that gave me like a lot of soft skills that I needed, because I got training for LinkedIn. So I started a LinkedIn account, and then I got training for YouTube. So I even started a YouTube channel back then, not active right now. But yeah, I got a lot of skills from that online event. And again, I took part in International Model United Nations, and I was able to get verbal commendation award in 2 of the conferences. And I was also part of few student organizations, one non-profit called Sitara, and another organization called Teen Turns. I started a robotic organization to help students called Robovis in October 2021. And then I also had a small home baking business, which was like more like something that I could save some money from. That did help me in my application later on. That, and then I was also part of an organization called Teen India. So yeah, I was trying to get myself involved as much as possible in all the activities I love. So I took a gap year after 12th grade, applied to all universities, took SAT and TOEFL, and I was accepted into USF in fall in 2022, and I joined in fall 2022. I also luckily got a green and gold scholarship, and you can also see my academic stats and test scores. Okay, let's go to the next topic, which is intro to study in USA. So we all know the vast opportunities that US offers, whether it be academic excellence, cultural diversity, job opportunities, especially research facilities, because I don't really know whether undergrad students get research opportunities back in our home country. So I think that's a huge opportunity here in the US. And again, there are like a lot of very good accredited, like so many universities and colleges. And one important thing is that it's very flexible here. Like you can even, like, students come with one major, but then they end up in some other major. So it's like you have a lot of opportunity to explore yourself, and there's provision for personal growth. So again, vast job market with leading industries in technology, healthcare, finance, engineering, and more. Global networking, you get connections from around the world. So these are all amazing opportunities, but at the same time, you should have clearly in mind about what are your goals and what are the goals you would like to fulfill after coming to US. Let's go back to the next topic, which is right research. Under this slide, I thought I'll include information about choosing program and institutions. So first of all, starting with you have to start with determining your goal. So what is your academic and career, what are your academic and career objectives? What is the program you would like to take? That is really important. That is the first step, basically. So throughout high school, try to explore different fields, try to get yourself involved in many activities, so that way you will get an idea of like where would I fit in, like which major would be best for me. And even if you don't fully figure it out, it can be a little bit hard, because it doesn't come that easily to know which career path you have to choose. So you can take help from your school counselors, and even if you have like an idea of which major that would be like really close to what you're interested in, you can take that. But after coming here, you even have the provision to change it. So it's very flexible. And yeah, you can, but still you should have one program in mind before applying, so that you can look into universities who have like very good opportunities for that specific major. So then you have to check into university websites for program availability, check for scholarships if you're looking for scholarships. I'm just trying to share how you can shortlist institutions. Again, look for accreditation, because there are a lot of colleges and universities, but then there can also be universities that just isn't worth it coming for 4 years. So you have to check the accreditation. For example, for engineering, for electrical engineering, there's not just electrical, but I think like STEM field, there's ABET accreditation. So USF has that, top universities also has that. So you have to look into all the good universities that has accreditation specific to your major. That's really important. And location, because there can be all the opportunities, and then just the place can be isolated and there's like no communities there. So it's important to look into the location, and if there's a positive environment there to learn. Again, smart shortlist universities into dream, target, and safety schools. And do that based on your profile. Don't just look at someone's dream, target, and safety schools and try to categorize it. So have like a research properly, and shortlist universities according to your academic or extracurricular activities and everything. Then again, scan requirements, know what all are the expectations to be met for that specific institution. Networking, I can't emphasize this enough, because once you have like your program in mind, once you know which all universities you need, it's important to connect with international students and learn about the process. If you need help, they will definitely be there to help you. So one good platform you can use for that is LinkedIn. So start a LinkedIn account, give all your extracurricular activities, put your school in the education section, and just start connecting with professionals and students. That'll help you a lot throughout your process. Now let's go back. Okay. Now the next thing is application process. I'll just speak briefly going through that. Financing your education, and finally resources.
Hey, Aisha, so sorry to interrupt you. Before
okay.
you move into this next section, we actually have our chief guest come back. So
Yeah,
if it's
that's
okay,
fine.
we're just gonna have him speak to us real quick. Thank you so much.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll
Thank
just
you.
stop sharing. Yeah.
So just a super quick reintroduction. Our chief guest, we have E.T. Mohammed Bashir. He's an Indian politician and social worker. He was Kerala State Education Minister on 2 separate occasions, and he's made a lot of impactful contributions to education and social welfare. So welcome.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum and hearty congratulations. I am Alina Harisa just introduced me. I am E.T. Mohammed Bashir, now sitting member in Indian Parliament. This is the 3rd time in Indian Parliament. I am working in Indian Parliament. Before this, I had been Kerala's Education Minister for 7 years, and 15 years totally as MLA, and now the another 14 years at Delhi in the Parliament. Anyhow, I am very much interested in the work which you are doing. I understand that you are dedicated for a noble cause. Now this NANMMA Youth Wing, that is the youth wing of American Network of Malayali Muslim association like that. That's very good. The NANMMA itself, you may be knowing the what exactly it means. NANMMA means goodness. So you are also working for the goodness. I hope that you are doing wonderful work. This is the era of internationalization of education because there are many opportunities. But unfortunately, our students are not well aware what exactly is the opportunities available there and what sort of help you will get to study abroad, especially USA. You are doing that work also. It means that there are a lot of opportunities. And it is one thing is very clear. In this particular era, I mean, this is the era of knowledge. The entire thing is controlled by the knowledge. Not only that, the getting the employment is a problem. So what exactly is to be done is to develop various kinds of skills, and there must be agencies like this, dedicated organizations like this to give proper guidance for the students who are really interested in coming over there, like US and other countries also. But see, what exactly we have to do is certain skills are very much required. Such skills, I used to tell the students also here when I was the minister, that they must attain more and more skills to meet the challenges of the modern world. In that way, one thing is sure, as far as Malayalis are concerned, we are proud enough to say that their IQ level is very good. They can pick up the things very easily. And they are having a kind of what is called a vision also. But unfortunately, there are certain gaps. That gaps are, this kind of guidance. You are doing that. Not only that, it's not a small thing. In America, you are having your own program, things like that. In addition to that, you are really giving a very considerable kind of commendable kind of service to the needy students. You are giving them proper guidance. I was just listening to our young students there. They were saying how best you are doing the things, what kind of assistance you are giving, what kind of guidance you are giving. These are all good things. I'm quite happy to understand that. I know that certain students, who is working in this field also, in your organization also, they are personally known to me. They are all nice boys. They are doing wonderful work. Anyhow, I am grateful to meet you. I once again express my heartfelt thanks to the organizers for giving me this opportunity to have a brief interaction with you. I am also very busy on the way to some other engagement. Thank you very much for listening to me. I wish you all the best. Thank you very much. Good night.
Thank you so much, and thank you for being here with us today. We really appreciate you making the time. Now we're going to go right back into our speakers. Aisha, the stage is yours again.
Okay, so let's continue. Yeah, so we were on this slide. So now I'll be going through the application process, financing education, and a few resources. And I believe those resources will be really helpful for you all. So let's start with the application process. I'll be talking about the application portal and what all you have to put into your application, basically. Okay, so the main application portals to apply to US universities is Common App and Coalition for College. I personally used Common App. I'm not much familiar with Coalition though. But there are other college-specific portals like University of California portal where you can apply to all the universities like University of California Irvine. And then there are like, you might know there are a lot of universities under that system. So you can apply through those university specific portals as well. And what goes to your application, this is crucial, right? After all the research you did, after all the short listing of universities, now you are going to start with the process. So first you will give all your personal information. That's basic, right? Your name, you just know, you might know what it will include. So you can check out Common App and see what all you need. Like you can just create an account and you will be able to see what all you need under personal information. And the other important things are high school transcripts. So I applied in my gap year, so I already had my 12th grade transcript. But if you are, most of you will be applying in 12th grade, right? When you haven't completed your 12th grade yet. In that case, you have to get a predicted mark sheet from your school and you have to submit that. That's I don't think it's a hard process. You just have to talk with your school counselor, with your teachers, and then you'll be able to get a predicted mark sheet and you can submit that. And standardized test scores, as I shared earlier, there is SAT, there is ACT. I took SAT, and ACT is also accepted. So you have to submit your test scores. So you need that ready as well. So you need all of this ready before you start with the application process. And then we have AP scores. Not many international students take AP, but it's like it is pretty good though. I think it also raises the chance of getting in. I think because AP is like an international. It's like US. It's offered by US board, right? So I think AP exams can help, but then it's also very expensive, pretty expensive. So it depends. Like if you are taking AP exams, you can give AP scores. English language proficiency, TOEFL and IELTS. So I think most of the universities here in the US accept TOEFL, and they also accept IELTS. So you have to check like specific university or college to see which English language proficiency test they want you to submit the scores for. And there's also Duolingo test, which I think is cheaper, so you can look into that. And some universities like USF didn't require me to submit TOEFL because they just needed the SAT English. They just looked at the writing and reading of SAT, so they didn't need that. So yeah, it depends on each university and college, so you have to check in their website. Extracurricular activities, your honors or awards, letters of recommendation from your teacher, from your principal. If you were employed, if you were part of an internship, then letter of recommendation from your employer. And there are personal statement and college specific essays that you might have to submit. So a lot of writing would come into play, so you have to get enough skills, like you have to acquire enough skills to write better. And there's also an application fee you would have to pay for universities, but then I actually applied to every single university for free because I got a Common App fee waiver, which you can easily get with the help of your school counselor. So yeah, now going back, very important part, I think for many of you this will be the most important part of this session. Financing your education. So you have to calculate the costs for tuition fees, living expenses. You can, as I told you, you can connect with students there and ask them how much they usually spend every year. And then scholarships and merit aid, you can look for aid based on your like achievements, basically academic or extracurriculars. You can see that on the website. Need-based aid, you can apply for need-based aid through CSS profile or specific forms that you might have to submit. It's like a very long form, so you need to have all that information as well. So make sure you have all that before you start into the application process. And then work opportunities can help you a lot. Like part-time job can help you like pay for at least your expenses. And educational loans, I'm also sharing a resource to like a website that's of Indian government. You can actually take help from them for educational loans, or you can check scholarships in their website. And financial planning, by charting your expenses, you can significantly reduce costs. So yeah, that is pretty much possible because except your tuition, everything else you can definitely cut down your expenses. So financial planning is super important. I actually tracked all my expenses back from August, so last year. So I have all the things that I spend on from August 2022 till now. So it's really important to track your expenses. That can help you in financial planning. I had one more slide in here. So studying at USF, I just made the slide for anyone who'd be interested to study at USF. So as like an incoming undergraduate student, so we have like freshman scholarships called Green and Gold Presidential Award. This was for 2023, 2024. This could change every year, so you have to check USF website to know the requirements for the specific scholarship. And here it's shown as 30,000 USD. This is without scholarship. that you would need for a year. But then again, off-campus housing, you can cut down it to half if you have a shared accommodation. So then it would be only $25,000. And with the scholarship, if you have the highest scholarship, let's say 11,000 per year, that would again reduce the total amount drastically. So for me personally, I spend only around 15,000 for a year, and that also includes the amount I have used from my part-time job income. So once you come here, before you come itself, you have to figure everything out, have like a little bit planning, and also if you have like funds before you come, it will be helpful, so that you can plan properly, basically. So now, almost the last slide. I have one more slide after this, but then yeah, this is also a pretty important slide, because I've included all the resources that I know personally or I have used. So you can definitely look at YouTube videos, because I remember my first 11th, 12th, and gap year, I watched a hell lot of YouTube videos. So some YouTubers that I watched was UDJ, Yash Mitra, Singing USA, and Samin Rahman. Samin Rahman is such an underrated YouTuber, but then he has like basically step-by-step process of filling Common App application. And he was the one who made me familiar with the Common App fee waiver. And with that fee waiver, you can apply to 20 universities for free. Like each university application fee is like $100 or so. So you can save like a lot of money. So look into the resources on YouTube. Then you can register for SAT on College Board .org and ACT at act.org. I have taken only SAT. That's the reason I've given resource only for SAT prep. Start with a practice test on khanacademy.org, and you can also use YouTube channels. And there are a lot of resources on Reddit. So r/SAT, you can find past papers and you can practice them. Again, Reddit is a huge asset for us. So you can hear students talk about their experience. They ask their doubts, and you can easily get a lot of answers from Reddit. So you utilize Reddit. Common App, I have given just the link for Common App and Coalition. We Make Scholars. So this is the government organization I was talking about. They help you get educational loans. They help you look into scholarships. So yeah, you can make use of that. College Essay Guy is a very good resource. He has YouTube channel as well, and he has like courses which you could get for free if you utilize the financial aid option, what you can pay option. And then again, a specific college or university website. Those are the resources I have to share. And coming back to the last slide, this is the last slide, the bonus slide that I added. So college prep tips: start early. If you can start in your 9th grade, that's the best, I would say, because then you know, okay, I have to start exploring different fields to know which is my best, which is the program that I want. And starting to prepare for SAT or ACT. Do not underestimate the essays. This is something that I have to emphasize as well. This is a mistake that I made personally. So essays can be hard, because I don't think, as students who have been in Indian syllabus, I don't think we had opportunities to write about ourselves. So personal statement is not that easy. So it's always best to start early. You can get prompts for each colleges from their webs, like from online. So you can start getting used to writing about yourself. See if you're eligible for application fee waivers. As I told, you can save a lot through that. Do not hesitate to ask for opportunities or seek guidance from students or counselors. Schedule your tasks, organize documents, and meet deadlines. So have like a calendar, like mark everything on Google Calendar, like these are the deadlines. I have to finish this and this and this by this time. And yeah, have everything ready before the deadline. And again, finally, remain confident and be genuine throughout your application process. You don't have to fake anything. The university that accepts you is welcoming you, and the ones rejecting you, maybe they're not welcoming, right? So don't worry about don't take too much stress. Just just remain genuine throughout your application process. Yeah. Hope that was helpful. Thank you so much for patiently listening to me and looking forward to your questions. Back to you, Adilcha.
Thank you, Aisha. It was a nice, wonderful talk. Can you guys hear me? Okay. Thank you, Aisha, for a wonderful and nice talk. You spent a lot of information in a small time. So, guys, if you have more questions, please put on your chat on YouTube. We'll take your question. Thank you. And now we are moving to Ihsan. Ihsan, who is a grad student in University of Chicago. He's studying South Asian cultures. So he'll be here to more describing about studying in arts and everything. So to you, Ihsan.
Hello all. Thanks so much, Adil and NANMMA, for giving me this opportunity to interact with young minds, and thanks all of you for gathering here
Ihsan,
virtually.
I think we can't hear you.
Hello, am I audible now? Hello.
Hi, good.
Okay. So thanks so much, Adil and NANMMA, and the other organizers for giving me this opportunity, and I'm paying my due respect to A.T. Muhammad Bashir Sahib, and other dignitaries who are here just before. I have shared my slides already. Okay, so it's a short presentation. Thanks, Aisha, for kind of simplifying my task of explaining the applications, and kind of she really delved into all the specificities. So I'll be focusing on the research, the graduate studies in American universities, North American universities, mostly the masters and PhD. So there will be a question of why USA. When I was kind of talking to my friends and my professors in India, my master Jawaharlal University, New Delhi, and my undergrad from Jamia Millia Islamia. So I was talking to them, and some of them were like, "Why you are going to USA?" Because my research project, is on Indian Ocean history, the connected histories of the Indian Ocean, pre-modern Indian Ocean, and so people are like, you are from Kerala, and why you're going to USA to pursue this research, and kind of researching all this histories, and because all of your primary source materials are in India, and why you're traveling there 17 hours in flight, and talking, and researching about this topic. So that's the question most of us have. So the first answer to that is academic training, because the academic training, the North American training we get in American universities, it's kind of very unique in that sense, because especially the kind of work I do about the in Arabic, in Malayalam, Tamil, and all this Persian, Urdu. So for these languages, it's for to read all this, as an historian, to read all these languages, I have to read all these primary source materials, and also the American, one of the main important kind of unique character of American training is the language training. So most of the universities, especially taking University of Chicago, I'm coming from, the South Asian languages and civilization. We have Tamil professor, we have Persian professor, we have professor for Arabic. So you can learn all these languages from scratch to the advanced level, advanced expertise. So these are the kind of academic training. Mostly, I'm kind of targeting the people who are kind of looking forward to doing PhD in social science and humanities here, and who have generally interest in all this social science and humanities, or allied departments or disciplines. So
one thing is this language training and the kind of like courses and kind of like pedagogy they follow to teach languages. It's very important. The other thing is the kind of like writing, because when I was like moving from like Delhi Academy, like not to kind of like Indian Academy to American Academy, there was kind of like a lot of problems in my writing and in my like kind of like academic writing and publishing and all. So the professors and the academic kind of like support systems, they were like very supportive and for my to improve kind of like my writings and like academic writings and all this like. And the other thing is like the infrastructure, especially the library, because even like for the Malayalam collection in the Rugenstein Library in New Chicago, it's like huge, and we have like almost around like 5,000 and more Malayalam books in Rugenstein Library. We can't even like imagine such a huge collection for Malayalam, because I mean there are like 2-3 people working on Malayalam in the university. So and the other languages and all, we have like huge regional language collections. And U Chicago Rugenstein Library is one of the like best libraries for the South Asian reference in all North America. And it also has a lot of like private archival materials and private papers and like rare collections and all. We can actually, I'm looking forward to the Q&A session where I can like explicate and like explain all these stuff I just mentioned. And this library facilities the for a researcher, if you have a like good library full of like collections which you want, you know, like it's the best thing you can ever, you know, like look for. And the and one of the main reasons like why people are moving to like, you know, US and like Europe is the financial factor, because in India, like as we know, like the education budget per year is like less than 2%. And the kind of like scholarship they give, the fellowship they give for the PhD students and research students are very less, like less than maybe 5,000 rupees. And if you have like junior research fellowship JRF, it's like almost like 20,000 or like 30,000. So the stipend is a big factor for researchers, because we all start our research like maybe after our 25th age or something. So it's very important to financially secure our, you know, career at that point of time. So the stipend in USA that we get is almost kind of like a good amount, a good salary, because we all consider ourselves as like graduate student workers in American Academy. So the kind of like work we do, the stipend we get as salary is like a good amount of money that we cannot even compare with the Indian Academy or like the Indian universities. And the PhDs are long-term PhDs, mostly 5 to 7 years, and you also get funding till maybe 9 or 10th year, especially in social science and humanities, because you have to learn a lot of languages and you have to read a lot of primary sources, and like you have to kind of like, you know, edit text and translate a lot of stuff. So the long-term PhDs are really good. Like there are people who ask me like, you know, like in India you get like PhD within like 3 years or something, or Europe 3 years. Like why you're taking like 7 years PhD? You know, like if you're getting the funding and like if you're getting good training, like and then you can actually like, you know, stretch your PhD up to like you have a like really good result or really good outcome or publication. So compared to the European PhDs, it's like in Europe, it's mostly it is like 3 year or 4 year PhDs. In America, it's like 5 to 7 year PhD. And first 2 years of your PhD will be coursework, where you learn the languages and kind of like get the theoretical training. And when you move to third year, you work on your oral exams and comprehensive exams, and like the fourth year you submit a proposal. Most of the other like Europe or India, like when you go for an interview for the PhD, you submit a proposal. American Academy believes that like you can only write a proposal in your like third or like fourth year, after having a lot of like language training and a lot of like theoretical training and discipline training. So it's a good thing for a PhD candidate to have a long-term PhD and who are passionate about their research. Then other thing is like most of the American universities has like university have a lot of funding for the researchers, kind of like if you travel for conference, if you because I'm now doing a summer research, so like most of these US universities have like summer vacation between June and September, so you can travel to find your libraries and like find your archives. So I was traveling like 10 days in Lakshadweep, and like my university was funding all my travel and stay. I'm going to be in Sri Lanka this month for 10 days, like finding my archives and like seeking, like looking for my archives. So my university is funding that, and I'm in Delhi in the National Archives. I'm here to like kind of like check some documents and kind of like collect some documents. So all of these are like funded by your university. So these are the like main thing, like why these are the main like factors, pushing factors why people are like migrating to USA for the research. um, and to begin or like to move forward, move ahead with your like graduate studies ambition in North American universities, first of all you need a research idea. So it's not like undergrad applications. Thank you, Aisha, for like briefing all that process, comparison process. But for graduate studies, mostly like your research idea that matters, even if you don't have some criteria, like some kind of like test marks, or like kind of like some requirements, application requirements. They will wait you to finish that and like submit to them. What matters in like your application is mostly your research idea. So if you have a like very valid research idea, and you convince the department you're applying to, like this research is kind of need of the hour, and kind of like this research is very important at this point of time, and you're going to make a like very good contribution or like considerable contribution to the body of scholarship. So you need a like very valid and solid research idea at its beginning. You don't need you don't have to write a proposal. You have only to write a like SOP, statement of purpose, of 2 pages, where you um, kind of like I will go more deep into those like specificities in next slide. So you need a like research idea. That's the like the very core thing you have on your hand. So doing a good masters in India or outside India will be best idea to get deeper into your like art, like the social science and humanities disciplines you're working on. Because when you read for your masters, then only like you get to know about all this like research scopes and research gaps, and the basic eligibilities are like, so we call the masters and like PhD in the North American universities the graduate studies. So for the basic eligibility is, I think, 4-year undergrad. So if you have done like 4 years of undergrad, you're good to apply for a PhD or masters. Even you can directly apply to the PhD. You don't need to finish a masters. And I think for the research and masters, the the scores you have during your schooling or like your undergrad doesn't matter that much. So what matters is your research idea. So the other thing is shortlisting universities, because most of this like uh, universities works, they open their like application between September and January. Most of the universities start in September and like ends in like December. Some universities start in November, and like they like kind of like close their application portals in January. So just note that these like deadlines and like the starting dates are very important. And the other thing you have to do before the September you are applying is shortlisting the universities. So you should have at least like 5-6 universities in your mind for the research, because this should be the best department your SOP or like your application will be received. Because in most of the most of the graduate studies departments, most of the departments in US universities, American universities, accept the application which most of the like faculties in the department can work with. Like if I'm applying to South Asian Languages and Civilizations department in University of Chicago, I should write my SOP showing my interest in the works of like at least 3 or 4 faculties in the department, so I can work with them. Because you are not working under one supervisor, you will have a committee of like 3 or 4. All of them advise you, but you will have a principal kind of like advisor or supervisor. So start emailing all these potential advisors using a kind of like abstract of your research or with your like SOP. But some of them give you comments on your SOPs, some of them say it's unethical to comment, so they will just give some like important comments just in your email. So these all are like very important pre-requirements you need before you start your application in September. And the application requirements, I mean, the very important things are like writing sample, which you have to work at least like kind of like 6-7 months before, because the writing sample is the thing you show your kind of like capability to write an academic paper. And most of these American universities believe that kind of the students are not at all capable to publish anything until they finish their dissertation in their 6th or 7th year. Then you can publish something. So you don't have to publish anything before you apply. There are a lot of people like misunderstand you need a publication, you need a lot of work experience to apply for a PhD. That's not the truth actually. So you don't have to publish anything, but you have to write anything in a very in a format where you publish something. So you prepare a writing sample, which should not be necessarily connected to what you're proposing as a research, but you should show in that like writing sample your ability to use all these primary materials you are going to work with, and your language abilities, and your like kind of familiarity with publication, the formatting, the footnoting, titling, and like kind of like how you analyze your primary sources, and so on and so forth. And the other thing so the writing sample is the first thing you start working before September. And the other thing is SOP, the statement of purpose. It is 2-page statement of purpose where you say like how you got to this specific research interest, and what are your experiences, and you have to give an abstract of your research kind of your research questions, and kind of the group of scholarship you are contributing to, and kind of the people in the department you are willing to work with, and what are the kind of training you're expecting from the department, and what are your short term and long term goals. This is how one SOP is organized. In Q&A, like if you have like more questions, I can happily address them. And other thing is TOEFL and like GRE. So most of the universities are waiving, most of the social science and humanities departments are waiving GRE, have already waived GRE. So you don't have to, think about that. And the TOEFL also, like if you have a like undergrad instruction in English, so you don't have to think about that. But GRE and TOEFL, some universities require TOEFL and GRE. So most of the universities in North America, most of the departments of like social science and humanities, they don't need TOEFL and GRE. So you don't have to wrap your head around that. And the recommendation letters are very important. That's why I mentioned that you have to do the masters in a good university, which is like kind of known for the discipline. You're like, if you want to do history, like something historical research in North American universities, if you're planning your masters in India, you should go to like Aligarh, Jamia Millia Islamia, or like Jawaharlal University, or like Ashoka University, where you have the best historians. So because their recommendation letters matters, there is still kind of gatekeeping in American universities, because most of the American university students in social science and humanities are from India, or from like all this like elite central universities. Otherwise they have done like one master's from Oxford or like Cambridge or like SWAS or other international universities or like other universities abroad. So you need 3 recommendation letters. So the recommendation letters are very important. So these are the basic application requirements. You need an academic CV. We can all talk. We can talk about all this specificities if you have more questions on that. And the funding and financial support. The very happy thing about PhD, doing a PhD in America is like social science and humanities. Like if you get the admission, so in history departments, or they take like 15 students every year. In social South Asian Studies department, they take maybe 4 to 5 students every year. And there are like different like departments one can apply if you're like interested in what I'm like familiar with, like the history of Southeast Asia and South Asia or Middle East. If you're interested in these areas, you can apply to religious studies department, because the divinity schools are like very generous in funding and they have like a very good amount of intakes every year. So you can apply to divinity school, religious studies department. You can apply to linguistics department. You can apply to comparative literature department, South Asian studies, Southeast Asian studies, all these like area studies departments and history department also. So all of these departments have department scholarships. So if you get the admission, they offer you 7 years or like 5 to 7 years fully funded scholarship or fellowship. And you can also apply for like additional grants to pursue your like research. And there are third-party fellowships for this is especially for the master's student. So the scholarship that these departments are giving for the research scholars, private universities, most of the private universities give free stipend, and teaching or TAing, teaching assistantship, is kind of like part of your academic training or like your pedagogical training to nurture you as a teacher, good teacher. And most of the state universities, they give this stipend as a remuneration for their TAship. So they have compulsory TAship from their second semester or like second quarter across throughout their like research span. And for the master student, so in North America, like most of this for the international students, the divinity schools, the religious studies department, the divinity school in University of Chicago or like University of Yale or like Harvard University, most of them have like full funding for all those like masters. They have MD masters, they have like masters in religion, and other masters from other departments like masters in social science or like masters in philosophy, masters in humanities, or like masters in anthropology. Most of this department give kind of like under 100% uh, fee waivers, tuition fee waivers, and you will have to find if you have a good application, you will get like 100% fee waiver, and you will have to find your accommodation things, the funding, so that you can like manage through part-time jobs inside the campus. And there are like third-party fellowships like in lags and like um, other scholarships like Felix, and also like Indian government like giving kind of like OBC scholarships to the Indian students. So you can also check out them. I'm not going deeper into them. And you have the part-time jobs in libraries or like in university, other like departments and in like coffee shops. So you can manage them pretty well. Um and about the community life, um, I will be like kind of like giving a small picture about like the community life in all these North American campuses. Like if you're like well interested in like the graduate student politics and the politics in university, like you'll have a graduate student union in most of the universities. And recently, like most of the universities like MIT, Harvard, and like University of Chicago are like kind of like the GSU, the graduate student union, have been like approved by the university administrations, and like most of the universities are like fighting for their like graduate student unions. So graduate student union is the kind of organization where you kind of go and like put forward all your concerns while teaching, and like you put forward your concerns, you put forward your concerns about your salaries, your stipends, all the departmental administrative stuff. So Graduate Students Union is a good supportive system in those universities, and there are like various academic groups and workshops, and like there'll be like, you know, South Asian Studies students group, or like philosophy students group, or anthropology students groups, where you hang out and like you present your papers and you get your comments and stuff like that. And there is like Office of Spiritual Life, so there'll be a chaplain who will be helping you to, you know, navigate through your like spiritual issues, or like your questions regarding your spiritual life. And like they organize various kind of like programs and various kinds of functions to take care of the spiritual aspect of the student life. And there are like Muslim students associations, so they have like, they are, most of the Muslim students associations in American universities are like undergrad led. So they always organize a lot of like, especially in Ramadan and all, like, you know, you like get a really good like home experience with all kind of like supports, all kind of like helps. So Muslim students associations are there in every universities, I think, in North America. And also like for Khidma, if you're willing to volunteer yourself for the community and like community reasons and causes, so you can reach out to, especially in Chicago, there are like a lot of organizations like Talif, Iman, where they do a lot of like community, uh, like, you know, address a lot of community issues and kind of like do a lot of like charity and like volunteer activities. So these are the things I have to talk about community life. And now I'm looking forward to the Q&A session, and like, I'm very curious to know the questions you have. Thank you so much.
My bad. Thank you, Isan, for wonderful talk. Spending time with us. I know you are busy with your schedules and everything, flying back and through. So thank you once again, and you spent a lot of information to us. So, and I'm reminding again, you guys, please comment your questions on YouTube. So we will take your questions. So, and once again, I'm thanking our two speakers, Isan and Aisha, for sharing your information. Um, so I'm welcoming this platform for Q&A. So you can start your questions to all you guys. We'll answer your questions. Thank you.
Yeah,
One
thank
more
you.
thing. One more thing. Like, don't be shy. You can ask any questions. And എന്ത് ചോദിക്കാം, ഒരു കുഴപ്പമില്ല. മലയാളത്തിലാണെങ്കിലും കുഴപ്പമില്ല. We are free to answer you. Okay.
Yeah, and we had plenty of questions in the chat, so I'm gonna read off some of them right now, and hopefully our guests can answer them. I guess we'll start off with Ihsan. We have a question for you, and it's about finances. So, how much money would be required to apply for like a PhD program? Do you have like a good insight into that?
So it's about the application fee, right?
But
I
the
mean,
fees, it's how much money in general. I think that's what they.
Okay. So when you're applying, it's like, if you have a like real reason, like most of the universities waive their fee, like most of the private, sorry, one second. Most of the private universities waive their fees, application fees. So if you're taking a GRE, like if the university you're applying to need GRE, they demand GRE. So for GRE, I think it's almost like 25,000. I think I don't remember, but for the TOEFL it is like 15,000 or something to apply for the TOEFL test. And most of the universities, like I applied to like Harvard, Chicago, and like Tufts, most of these universities actually waived. So if you submit, like they ask, maybe they'll be like just to put a tick mark or something. Some universities demand something to show up, like, you know, your economic status and all. So the private universities usually waive the application fee very easily, but the state universities, you have to, I think, pay something around 6,000 or something per university. So the best thing is like shortlist universities very wisely, at least like just shortlist something between 5 to 7. That'd be the best for the research, because it is hard to find the departments which can support your project wholesome. So the best thing is, and the other like kind of like expenses are mostly after you getting the admission. After you get the admission, then you will have to pay service fee and like different kind of fees for the immigration purpose. So it's all you can like manage. Like once you get into the research program or the department, you can all pay back this within like 1 month or something. So it's not a huge amount.
Okay, thank you for that.
So next question, so how to apply for MBA and PhD in business, and do you have any advice for those? Question by Imtiaz Ahmed.
Sorry, MBA and business, like I think if you're applying for the masters, I have no specific ideas about what are the differences between this social science and humanities application, but I'm pretty sure like you'll have to go through all this like procedures. It's not be like that different, but you'll have to reach out to your professor and you'll have to get the consent, and then you'll have to go through the standard application process. But I'm afraid to comment on that.
Aisha, did you want to add on to that?
I think there'll be a standardized test, like GMAT. So you will have to take that. I just know about that. And I think most of the things are similar. I don't know if you need research for, I don't think you would need research idea for masters, like MBA, I'm not sure about it. But I just know you would have to take GMAT. And I think most of the other things would be similar. I've heard about it. I'm not very sure, but I think you will have to take the standardized test. You need the recommendation letter, again, extracurriculars. I think most of the things would remain same, and you would have to apply through the. Usually, I think it's through the university portal, and then you would have to submit essays. And as master students, you can try for assistantships or fellowships, so that you can afford your education. That's all I know. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Hopefully that answers that question. And then the next question, it's a common question that we've seen in the chat. Hopefully, Mashur, you can help us answer this, but people want to know what the procedure is like for the US MLE exam. Do you have some insight into that?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, definitely. So let me just first of all give a rundown of the USMLE exams. Then what I explain makes sense. For USMLE, there's 3 steps, 3 exams. There's step 1, that's an 8-hour exam, 280 questions. The step 1 exam goes over much more of the hard sciences, looking at whether you can understand and apply important concepts of basic sciences to the practice of medicine. Now, the step 1 exam has a score range of 1 to 300, and a passing score is 196. But the USMLE exam, when you get the score, you can only see if it's a pass or a fail. So it wouldn't definitely show the score. If you get more than 196, it shows you a pass. If you get less than 196, it shows you a fail. Now, the second USMLE exam, which you take if you pass the step 1, is step 2 CK, which is a 9-hour exam. It's 318 questions. And that looks at much more clinical part of the medicine, where it's looking at your ability to apply medical knowledge, skills, and understanding of clinical sciences, essential for the provision of patient care. So, and this is also the same scored in the same way as step 1, where it has a score range of 1 to 300. And this one has a bit high of a passing score of 214. Now, this is a small difference with step 2. For the step 2, you can actually see the score which you get in the exam. So in step 1, pass fail, step 2, actual score. So when you apply for a residency program, the residency program will see that if you passed or failed the step 1, you'll see the actual score of step 2. So yes, there is a passing score for step 2, but if you get a higher score, that gives you a higher chance for getting into the residency program. Then there's a step 3, which you don't have to worry about because you take step 3 after getting into residency. So right now, if you finished MBBS in India and are looking to apply to US residency programs, the 2 exams you need to take is USMLE Step 1 and USMLE Step 2 CK. Now, there's a process for applying to USMLE. First thing you have to look at is whether the MBBS college that you have studied is accepted by the United States. This can be done through the World Directory of Medicine website. So if you go in Google and search up World Directory of Medicine, it'll show you the accredited medical universities all over the world that is accepted by the United States. So for example, you go into the World Directory of Medicine website, you put in Mangalore, you will see, for example, institutes like AJ Medical Institute, Yenapoya, Father Mullers, Srinivas Institute of Medical Sciences. These, if you study MBBS in these institutes, that MBBS will be accepted by the United States, and then you can apply for a residency program after finishing your USMLE. So first, after you have figured out if the MBBS college that you have studied in is accepted by the United States, you apply for a ECFMG certification. That is the Educational Commission for Foreign Medical Graduates. So this is for medical students outside the US and Canada. And this helps you access whether international medical graduates are fit to enter fellowship programs or residency programs in the United States that are accredited by ACGME. So a side note, there is also NBME, that is the National Board of Medical Examination. That is for US and Canada students only. So when you try to apply for USMLE, you will see ECFMG and NBME. NBME is for US and Canada students. ECFMG is for international students. So you want to be looking at the ECFMG. So once you've applied for ECFMG certification and you've gotten certification, you can apply for a USMLE Step 1 through the same exact ECFMG website. So you can apply for step one in ECFMG website, you pass that exam, and then you go into USMLE Step 2, which is also you can apply in the same ECFMG website. Now this also, as I remember, I said USMLE Step 1 is just pass or fail. Step 2, score-based. So your higher score you get, the higher acceptancy into residency. So these are the 3 important steps: ECFMG certification, USMLE Step 1, USMLE Step 2, all on the same exact website of ECFMG, the Education Commission for Foreign Medical Graduates, and then you can apply for residency programs in the United States.
Awesome. Thank you. That was well-rounded. Yeah, the ECFMG part actually was very crucial, but that was also one other question we had. So you answered 2 questions in one. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Masood. So next question to Isan. So back in our schools, we studied in our social science. Our all civilization is happened on South Asian countries or like in top of African countries. And we know, like, if you study in Indian university, we can easily access all these civilization places easily. So what's the advantage of studying in US or European university than in an Indian university for history and arts?
Thanks for the question. Actually, I have explained this, I think, the beginning of my presentation. Maybe the person missed that. So yes, that's true. Actually, like all of the primary source materials and all of this, like libraries, all of this archives are back in India or like back in South Asia or Southeast Asia, Middle East, who are working on them, these regions, historical regions. But the thing is that I have mentioned the kind of like academic training we get there and the language training. Like we only have that kind of like language training in North America now, especially the teaching of like these languages within like 2-3 years, and like you'll be able to. I mean, like I was like learning Arabic like from my first year, and like Tamil and Persian. Now I can like go through all this like classical Arabic texts and the classical Tamil texts and classical Persian texts. So this is kind of like the language training they give there. And also the main issue now in like India, as we know, like because of this regime change, and like for a long time, like the funding for all these private public universities are reducing, and like the research opportunities, especially things like the Islamic history, or like if you have to like research about Islamic history and all, it's very challenging, especially the kind of work I'm doing in India. So and so for them also, like it's like less than 2% of the annual budget in India, like they spend for, like, in India they spend for like the education, the universities or the UGC, which manage the higher education scene in India. So the funding is like very important for us. Actually, as a researcher, if you have to read something and if you have to think and write, because when you move from like the undergrad to like graduate studies, the difference is like you write every day, like you think, you read, so you are part of the knowledge production. So you need to secure all your like family, or like financially secure yourself and your family, like. So I think so based on that, like the financial security, economic security is like very important. So US universities provide you like really good amount of money as stipend, or like as a salary as a graduate student, to take care of all of that. And also the libraries facilities they have, like the kind of like archives they have, because there's a joke, like like why the pyramids are there in Egypt, because the North American or like the European universities or like the museums couldn't carry them away, so most of the primary source materials and archives we need have a copy in most of the US, like collections and the private libraries. So it's also very easy to access all these archives and all these libraries and all these rare collections. Yeah. Thanks so much for the question.
Thank you, Husan, for explaining again to us. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Hassan. So the next question I want to ask to Aisha is, so since you're coming from the Middle East, there was a question from Zaina Fatima. She wants to know like how and whom like they can approach from the Middle East for them to get started with this application process, if there is anyone they can reach out to. And also they wanted to know how they can get involved in community work as well.
Okay, thank you for the question. So I actually did most of the research for myself. I didn't take any help from consultants. So I'm not really sure of any consultants in. I was in Oman, so I don't really know any consultants in Oman. But I'm sure there'll be many in India. You would have to research a little bit into it. As I did most of my research for myself, I don't know about specific consultants. I did take help from, let's say, my school counselor and certain counselors I know online. And then what was the other question, like was it about the application process?
So yeah, the first part of the question was how and whom they can approach to get the get help with the application process, and then they also want to know how they can get involved in community work as well. I guess I'm assuming just to beef up their resume.
Yeah. Okay, got it. So again, application process, you can also utilize the resources that I had sent. Those will be sent to you again on WhatsApp by the NANMMA team, so you can take a look at that. As I said, I don't really know any consultants, but you can look into those resources. I'm sure it'll help a lot. And community service, I actually had like an organization in school called Young Community Agents of Indian Schools, so that's the reason I could take part in that. But then I'm sure there'll be a lot of community service activities that are usually there in schools, but if not, you can actually take part in non-profit organizations online. So I told you that I was part of Sitara. I did everything online for that organization. So it was like the aim for the organization was to fight period poverty in India. So there's like a lot of organizations like that you can connect with, like student organizations, non-profits like that. And there are also like, I think there are also like offline like community services you can do. I think you can find it online, like let's say going to like refugee camps, and like there's even traveling involved in that. So you can look into such opportunities. You can find it online. It doesn't have to be in your local, like sometimes there might not be many community services happening in Middle East, but there can be a lot happening in India. So whenever you go back home, you can look into the community service opportunities you can get in India. And yeah, I think that's it. Yeah.
Thank you, Aisha.
Thank you, Aisha. So next question to Ilsan. So how we can apply to a PhD program here, and how we can get connected with a guide or PI for getting admission in US university.
Okay, the first question, like how we can apply, I think it's also like long, I think procedure I have already like explained well. Maybe the person can go through the recording when you post it, or like just go back to the YouTube video. And the other one is like how you can reach out to your potential supervisor, like potential advisor. It's a very good question. So how I like manage this period of the application is like, so the application begins like, from September to like kind of like December or January. So you can start emailing them during the summer, because in summer, like between June and like September, most of the faculties will be traveling, and most of them will be free. Uh, Maybe during end of the August, or the beginning of the August, like this time. So this is the best time to reach out to most of the faculties, or like reach out towards the end of the spring quarters, or like springs, like the second semesters, spring quarters, like during June. So most of the like faculties will be free to like reply to emails, and most of them are like very prompt, not like the Indian university professors. Most of them are like very professional, and they will get back to you within like 2-3 like working days. So what I did was like I kind of like wrote the SOP, like the statement of purpose, in 2 pages, and like I sent this like 2-page SOP to most of the professors I'm like willing to work with, or like the professors comes under the broad area of like Indian Ocean history I was like focusing on. So I reached out to mostly like around, I think, like 50 professors or something, like who works on the field, or like maybe between 40 and 50 professors. I mean, like most of them like replied to my email. So if you keep the email, like the body of the email, the message, like kind of like very specific and kind of like very catchy, in the sense like explaining your need, and like kind of like you want to apply to this department, and I'm attaching my SOP. I'll be like looking forward to your comments, and like your corrections. And so most of the professors don't directly give you a comment for your SOP, because it is unethical to do that way. So what they do is like they will give you general comments in email, like, okay, maybe this terminology, or like this kind of like theoretical approach is kind of like outdated, or like it's too old now, or you'll have to like look to another theory to approach this thing, or like or like some specific like questions, or like specific concerns they have. So you can like reach out to any professors using their academic email. So what you have to do is like, if you're like looking for a university, so if you're applying to a South Asian studies, or like the history department, just Google it, like history department, University of Chicago, or like South Asian studies, University of Chicago, then go through the people's section. There you find all these professors and their like emails, their expertise in their like field, what are their field of expertise, and like what are their recent publication. So you can also like go through their recent publications, like skim through them, and like bring up some discussions of that in your email. So it's not a like simple process, because you will get to know all of these professors if you're reading like well in your masters about your specific area of interest. So this will be the professors about what are their arguments, what are their like contribution to the field. So you can like start you can bring that readings and things in your email to kind of like convince them you're like very much aware of the scholarship the person is producing.
Thank you, Isan, explaining all this.
Yeah, thanks, Isan. We have a question related to tech, so I think Masood, you might be best to answer this. Like, what are the scholarship chances for someone who's applying for a master's in computer science in a American university, and they also have experience in the IT field? Is there any like scope for that? What's your take?
So I know like money is the most important deciding factor for almost everyone. I mean, it's not just for the international students, but if like the students here as well who's going into like either bachelor's or master's, money is the deciding factor whether they can get into a school, or whether they can get into a program, or they can move out of state. So this is not like a very, rare question. It is one of the most prominently discussed and prominently available questions that is available out there, right? Now, before we even go to scholarships, right? This is one of the things that most of the people are not exactly aware of within the US. In US, most of the universities have 1 or 2 or 3 categories of tuition classification. Most of it, the first one, which in most of the public universities follow this, it's the in-state tuition, which is pretty much for the residents of that state within the US. If I'm coming from Georgia and there is a university in Georgia, let's say Georgia Tech, they have residency, or if I'm a resident of Georgia, I can get the in-state tuition, which is far less than an out-of-state tuition, which is the international tuition fees that you guys pay. So chances are it is 1/3 or 1/4 of that amount. So before you even go for the scholarship side, right? Before you even think about searching for scholarships, try to see if the universities that you have or you're planning to apply has some option where you can qualify for that. Now, it is pretty rare, or it is not exactly that easy. Some universities provide international students the in-state classification, granted that they maintain certain level of GPA, granted that they join in something like honors college or something like that. So figure out that from that specific university, because the university that I studied had a program like that, where if you were part of the honors college and you were maintaining your GPA above a certain standard, and you were attending 3 or 4 honors classes every single semester, even if you're an international student, they will bump you down into an in-state student fees category. So that would mean that the fees for you generally, which you'd be paying around 45 or 50K for per year, would be bumped down to 10, 15, or even 20K. So that itself is going to help you a lot. So that is the first step I would recommend anyone who is planning to come into the US, in terms of trying to get the control of the money. Now to the actual scholarships question, right? Now, once you figure that out, scholarships are pretty it's subjective, right? For the students here who are born and brought up here, there are a lot of government programs that are state dependent that will either waive off their tuition or provide part of their assistance, depending on whether their grade is good or whether their financial situation is bad, right? But for the students that are coming from outside, especially for masters, the scholarship opportunities from the government side from the US is going to be very limited. The options that you would have is to consult directly to the university. Now, a lot of the universities have scholarships or fundings that are specifically allocated to attract foreign students. So if you reach out to your respective universities, you would know how much funding is available and how much you can leverage through it. Now, the requirements for that might be simple or complicated depending on that university. Some universities might have you just fill in a scholarship application, provide your grade, and you're qualifying for it. Some universities would have you follow through a 3-month process of just maintaining a grade or showing that you are in fact worthy of that scholarship. So it would be very university dependent if you're coming in, and it would be program dependent as well. From what I know, the universities allocate fundings to different departments. So if you're coming in the IT department, from the IT side, reach out to the IT department, the dean or someone within that realm, and see what kind of scholarships that they offer. And like Ehsan said, the faculty here are very professional, and they would be extremely happy to help you out. And most of the universities would have their contacts, which is their deans or professors, right in their website. So you can just send them an email and they would promptly respond back to you. Now that is for the college provided scholarship. Now, one thing that you can reach out, or one thing that you could do, is pretty much figure out private scholarships, right? Those are the most overlooked scholarships that pretty much are the bulk of the scholarships that are available, I would say. The reason I say that is, now, if you might have noticed, there are a lot of scholarship websites like scholarships.com, fastweb.com, unigo.com. All of these websites have scholarships that are either provided by individual parties, foundations, or companies that are just waiting for you to meet those requirements to disperse those funds out. They're happily open to doing that. Now, a lot of the students do not necessarily like search that route because they're not exactly aware of it, or they don't have the time, because each one of those applications might require you to write an essay or like, provide a lot of other different documentation. But one thing you have to remember is you have to go in the areas where you are pretty much like the bigger option for them. Like the reason I say this is, if you look at the scholarships like these, the private scholarships, a lot of the people don't apply. So based on probability, when you apply, even if your application is not exactly like the top bunch, you can get it. And just another tip too, try to apply for the small scholarships. A lot of the people overlook those. If it is a $250, $500, I know it is not a small one, for people who are coming here, but compared to the actual amount that is available, which is like your tuition, that is a lot. I mean, that is compared to, the tuition is so much so that, the amount is going to be like a little bit less, right? So you have to like apply for those, because most of them are pretty much like not given out because there's no applicants. So you getting it might mean just you applying for it and your application just being seen there. So keep an eye out on that. And finally, just a final big point for anyone who's looking for, funding their education, right? Most of the universities have the teaching assistant positions open, graduate research assistant positions open, like normal research assistant positions open. And most of these would cover part or most of your tuition. And most of these universities are gladly like happy to like give this out to you as well. So once you get in, even if you don't have scholarships, don't worry that you would have to like spend a lot of money. Once you get here, you can apply for all of these scholarships or all of these positions, and chances are like mostly your entire tuition might get waived off if you're like working 20 hours a week or something for that specific like position. I hope that clarified it.
Yeah, that was well put together. Thank you, Masood.
Thank you, Masood, for that. So
Yes.
next question
We
to
have about 10 more minutes, so I think we have time for 2 or 3 more questions. So just to
okay. Just one quick question to Masood, Ihsan. So Ihsan, so do we need a prior research experience to get into US?
That's a good question, actually. So in my opinion, what we need is like a good master's training. So where you know about your like discipline well, and most of the scholarships that have been like in discussion or like that have been in the trend or like in the scholarship or in the academy, and the research experience, I think it's not that necessary. Like what they are looking to is like your writing sample, where you show your like ability to like deal with your especially like I'm history student, so deal with your primary sources, and kind of like how you are like dealing with the historiography, or like how you are like dealing with the existing scholarship, how you're like making your argumentation, like like how you're bringing your arguments, or like how you're like kind of organizing your writing sample, and like how you're formatting it, how you're putting the footnotes, like what are the group of like scholarship you do, like I mean you are familiar with. So these are the like things they are looking. So that's what I was saying, because you don't need a like publication before, like when you apply. Even like the social science and humanities people, the professors in social science and humanities in North American universities, they believe that you'll be only eligible to like publish something in your like later stage of your research, like fifth year or like sixth year, or like maybe even after like submitting a dissertation. So I think if you have like you don't have to necessarily take a gap year and like do something like some research assistantships, or like working in a museum, or like working in archives for that purpose. But rather like maybe if you get a chance, like you can do that, and like it may help you. Otherwise you don't have to necessarily take a like research like gap, or like research like out like the a break from your like education line, and like do that as an essential thing for your research.
Thank you, Ihsan. To add on to that, if you are looking especially in STEM field like physics, chemistry, life science, if you have prior research experience, always really good. Plus, if you have publication, yeah, the chance of getting in is really high in STEM field. Another thing, usually in US PhD, they will fund you, so you don't need to care about any funding. Okay, thank you.
Awesome, thank you guys. I think maybe we have time for one more question, maybe two, we'll see. But this was a very common question in the chat. I mean, it was a variation of questions, but people are asking college recs for like forensic science, cybersecurity, nursing. So I guess this goes out to like maybe Ihsan, Aisha, maybe Adil a little bit. Like when y'all were, I guess, looking for colleges, that's usually the first step, right? So what was y'all's method to search for colleges? Like, how did you come to that final decision to, choose your college, based on your field? If that makes sense. So I guess Aisha, you can start, and then Ihsan.
As I told earlier, there are like a lot of options. So, and in the US, like I'm in STEM, I'm doing STEM, right? I'm doing electrical engineering. There are a lot of universities with STEM, like a lot of opportunities in STEM. As I shared earlier, check for the accreditation. That's the most important thing, because you could come here, study 3-4 years, and if the degree, I mean, if the university doesn't have a good accreditation, then there's like, it's not worth, right? So check for the accreditation. So you can like check, for example, a bit accreditation for STEM. So then you check for universities or colleges that has a bit accreditation, and then it's like filtering process. So first it's like it has accreditation, okay, that's like check mark. The next, does it have do they have scholarships? It's according to your priority, like what is the most important for you. So start with accreditation, then scholarships, then like what are the requirements they have, whether it's SAT. Most of the time when you, I think it'll be better if it'll be better if you have a list before you do the SAT, but then after you get the scores, you can see, there's a regular trend of how universities accept students. Certain universities accept students like based on SAT and all, SAT scores. So you can easily get that online. So then you can align your scores with particular universities and see, okay, there are chances that I can get into these universities. So then you categorize it into dream, target, and safety schools. And yeah, so you don't have to apply to like 20-30 schools. It just has to be like, make sure that you apply to universities that you believe you have chance to get in, and also keep safety schools. This is a mistake that I made. So like, make sure that you also have universities that you think you can easily get in, very easily get in, have that as well. But those universities should also have an accreditation, definitely. So yeah, that's how I categorized.
Maybe Ihsan, do you have something to add on to that?
Yeah. So for the talking from the perspective of like humanities and social science, it's completely upon the prospect of like the potential supervisors you want to work with and the departments. You will be like kind of like, as like Aisha mentioned, you'll have to like apply to some safety kind of universities, or like show universities. Some of them must be like state universities or like not that known private universities, but especially the departments and the people who are working on South Asia or like Southeast Asia. So most of the South Asian studies, I mean, we have like very like rare number of South Asian studies in North American universities, like University of Pennsylvania or like Columbia, like they have the MISAS, then University of Chicago, Harvard, Yale, and UC Berkeley. So all these like good schools, they have South Asian studies. So it's better to apply to South Asian studies than applying to a conventional history department, because most of these departments, history department will be only have like one South Asian history guy, or like so it is better to shortlist some good like universities and like some sure universities. And it is for the research purpose, it's completely upon the person you want to work with, because I applied to University of Chicago because I can work with historians like Muzaffar Alam or like Thibaut Dubé, like who works on Persian and Arabic source materials. So for the research masters and like PhD, it's completely based on like the people who you want to work with, because they'll be helping you to find a job in the future. But your university affiliation also matters, but more than that, like it will be like the supervisors and the committee.
Thank you. Yeah, that was super helpful, guys. Yeah, I'm gonna pass it off to you, Adil. Maybe if you have time for one more question, and then.
Yeah, okay. I just want to answer that question. So in STEM field, actually, it's better to connect with professor before you connecting to the university, because professors matter a lot than university. So professor who is going to fund you. So you should ask the professor whether he have a potential funding. Plus, you should make sure he see a potential professor for you, because you are going to work with him next 5 years, and that's a crucial part of your life. Crucial. So you don't want to get exhausted in every day. So make sure that professor is really good, and contact his former students and postdocs whether he's perfect or not. Another thing, usually when if you graduate from physics or chemistry, don't stick into like your natural science department. You can apply to engineering department, where they have a lot of funding than natural schools. Plus, they have a multiple intakes. Usually, natural science schools have like a one intake per year, but in engineering side, there might be like west side, like California side, have like 3 intakes per year, and East Coast have 2 intakes per year. So the getting chance is more higher, and you'll be doing the same kind of research what you're doing in the natural science. So that's the thing. So you should contact your professor first before you get into touch, and make sure professor is good enough. University ranking is not a matter, but should be in the limit. Like if you're from India, the MHRD have a rule that you should take a PhD from top 500 university ranking in QS or TH or Shanghai ranking. So that's the clause. If they're top, then you can do. If process is good, that's it. Yeah.
Awesome, thank you guys. That was a variety of answers. It was super helpful. I think we're at the hour, so I think it's a good time to end Q&A, and I'm gonna hand it off to Alina. Thank you guys.
Thank you, Omar, and thank you to everyone who answered questions, especially Aisha and Ehsan. Both of your knowledge is so helpful for students looking to study abroad, and learning from your firsthand experiences is invaluable. We appreciate you both for staying time to be with us today. If we weren't able to get to all of your questions, we will have the NANMMA email available. You can find it in the QR code below on the screen. And you can also feel free to reach out with any questions, and we'll do our best to answer for you. There was a lot of important information that came out today, so to make sure you're all able to take advantage of it after this event, we'll be compiling it all and sharing the resources that our speakers shared afterwards. So be on the lookout for that in the next few days. Now, last but not least, we have the chair of our youth council, Mashur. Mashur is an amazing leader and an inspiring individual who brings our team together. He's going to help wrap up this event, so thanks for spending time with us. That's all from me. It's all you, Mashur.
Thank you, Alina. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all our students, parents, educators, and our distinguished guests. I'm grateful to be here with you all today as we conclude this enlightening event focusing on the opportunities to study in the USA. Over the past 2 hours, we have embarked on a journey of discovery, growth, navigating the exciting opportunities that lie ahead for each of you. Your decision to pursue higher education in the United States is more than just a choice. It represents a journey of exploration and transformation. As international students, you bring with you a tapestry of diverse cultures, backgrounds, and perspectives, enriching the academic landscape of this great nation. The experience that awaits you will not only shape your academic pursuits, but also shape you as a global citizen. Throughout this event, we have delved into the various aspects of college preparation, and I hope that the knowledge gained and the advice shared have eased any concern and fueled your determination to embrace the possibility of studying in the land of opportunity. As you embark on this transformative journey, I want to emphasize the importance of building a strong support network. Seek guidance from your parents, mentors, and school counselors. Connect with fellow students who share your aspirations. Embrace the college community you'll be a part of, and they will undoubtedly play a pivotal role in your personal and academic growth. If you like to keep the conversation going, share experiences, or simply stay updated on our future endeavors, I invite you to connect with us on our social media platforms. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook and direct any questions towards our email. You can scan the QR code on the screen below and get connected to all our platforms. I would like to remind everyone that a video recording of this event is also available online for future references if anyone would like to pull pointers in the future. Before we conclude, I must express my heartfelt gratitude to all the organizers and volunteers who have made this event possible. I especially want to thank NANMMA Youth Council Treasurer Adil Shah for working day and night to make this event possible. Your dedication to helping international students achieve their dreams is commendable, and we owe you a debt of thanks. Well, with great enthusiasm, I now declare NANMMA Youths Studying in the USA event officially closed. May each of you embark on this exciting adventure with courage, determination, and an insatiable hunger for knowledge. The future awaits you, and the possibilities are limitless. Thank you, and best wishes on your journey to success and fulfillment. Safe travels, and may you find your home away from home in the United States.